Kevin Clark from The Ringer. I have been a big fan of this gentleman for quite some time, so I need Kevin to come in and drop knowledge. How you feel about this potential marriage between the Seahawks and Antonio Brown?
I don't love it because I start to think about the fact you basically have to take the clues that smart teams give you in this league. And Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft gave up on Antonio Brown when obviously all the allegations came out as soon as he signed. Played one game in Miami. The Pittsburgh Steelers, who I think, by the way, Mike Tomlin should get about 5 Coach of the Year awards for retroactively for how he handled Lev Bell and Antonio Brown. And then, say what you will about the Raiders, but I think John Gruden and Mike Mayock are pretty good football guys, and they gave up as well. And so you look at Seattle, which is all about culture, all about competing, all of this stuff. DK Metcalf is really, really good. I don't think that there's such a desperate need there that you would run the risk of derailing your season in a year where I think the Seahawks can make the Super Bowl just for basically taking a flyer on a guy with this much combustible potential. I don't love it at all. I don't care who he's friends with in that locker room. I just think when a bunch of good teams tell you what they think of Antonio Brown, don't be the team that thinks you're smarter than them.
And Michael, you and I may work together well. Michael, you and I may work together well, but as you know, sometimes people need to just be friends. Like, it's okay to be friends. When you actually got to work together, that's a different set of stresses,
No, I was going to say, Mike and Kevin, speaking of smart, now keep in mind, Antonio Brown gave us pearls of wisdom in a tweet. Remember his tweet? He had this one line. He said, look, if her mama smoked Newports, leave her alone. That was his little message to the world. So that's good advice right there. But in all seriousness, okay, let's say you don't think he's a good fit in Seattle, burn the bridge in Pittsburgh, torch the bridge in Oakland. New England, it may be split because I don't think Bill Belichick really wanted to move on. That was more Robert Kraft. What is a good fit? What's a good fit for Antonio Brown, in your opinion?
I think he has to go someplace away from a competing team right now and just rehabilitate his image. I guess if Seattle wants to take the flyer and think he's a fit, fine, they'll take on that risk. But I'm not. If I'm a competing team and I'm a good franchise right now, I'm letting him go someplace like Jacksonville or Cincinnati or something like that and play a year and make sure that he can fit into a locker room right now, because he was such a disaster in 2019 from a locker room standpoint that I just think he's untouchable. So from a football standpoint, he's everything. I remember talking to Brett Veach, the Chiefs GM, who said that when he was scouting for receivers for Patrick Mahomes, he was looking at Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger, and that connection, because no one was able to do more improvisation in the open field. Nobody was able to get open when he should. Nobody was able to extend plays quite like Antonio Brown. And so I think 32 GMs would do anything to get the talent of Antonio Brown. I'm just saying, putting him into any locker room right now that's 5-0 or 4-1, that is a huge risk. And that's why if I am a Brett Veach, who obviously doesn't would love to have that talent, I'm waiting for him to prove he can be in a locker room right
now. One of my CEO friends, Kevin, said that when he lets people go, he says, hey, go be great somewhere else. That's how I feel about Antonio Brown. Is like, whether I'm 5-0 or 0-6, I don't want any part of him. And I'm not trying to call for a ban. I'm not saying that he's done anything that is so unforgivable, especially relative to some others, that he should never play again. I'm saying if I'm a winning team, I don't want him in the locker room. If I am a losing team, I don't want him around my young players as I try to establish my culture. I just don't want him, period. I just wouldn't take the risk. So, but I'm going to take that as you agreeing with me, as most of our smart guests do, Michael Holley. Let's see if I can go 2 for 2. Let's see if I can go 2 for 2. The other thing Michael and I have been going up back and forth on in the last 2 days is, Michael, tell me if I'm saying this fairly, the timing of the decision by the Miami Dolphins to go from Ryan Fitzpatrick to Tua Tagovailoa. Everybody knew this was coming sooner or later. I just don't agree with the timing right now. Where do you stand on the move right now, Kevin?
I would have given – okay, listen. It's not like Fitz was going to play for the next 10 weeks perfect football. I would have let Fitz open the door for Tua a little bit more, because it was coming. You know there was going to be a 3-interception game. This is a guy who's thrown 6 interceptions in a game. I think that making the choice now when they're 3-3 and he's playing pretty well, I think that leads down a path where he can be a little bit upset for the rest of the year. We heard those candid comments yesterday. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like Tua is the best option. And like he's if they're going to win the AFC East, it's because Tua popped in these next 10 weeks. And so I like the decision generally. But I also think that it's a weird, I think coaches are usually very mindful of what happens in the locker room or what happens with veteran guys. And I kind of feel like even if the entire locker room wanted Tua to start, I kind of feel like you give Fitz a little longer of a leash, let him screw up a little bit, and then make the move. I kind of feel like this maybe was 2 or 3 weeks early.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, I'm not so sure about that. But I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna let you and Michael Smith kind of hash that thing out. It was the right decision. I'm moving on to something else, Kevin. Now I want to talk to you about Dallas in the NFC East. I thought Mike McCarthy. I'm guilty as charged. I thought Mike McCarthy was the perfect coach for the team when he got criticized for his hire. I was like, what are they talking about? This guy's a great coach. Doesn't look like it's a good fit. What do you think happens with Dallas now that Dak Prescott is out and Mike McCarthy is getting some pushback from his players anonymously?
Well, I think that the philosophy of the hire was wrong because I think Jerry Jones looked at this roster and says, we can win now. Let's get a mature adult in the room. Let's coach this talent up and win the Super Bowl. I don't think that roster was there. I think that the defense took a huge step back. They just don't have anything there. This is not a good football team, and they never were going to be a good football team. And so I would have gone more philosophical, maybe tried to hire, throw money at a Lincoln Riley type or something like that. What happens now? Well, they might be the saddest, sorriest playoff team in history. That's what might happen, is that the entire locker room might hate Mike McCarthy, and yet they somehow back into the playoffs at 7-9. So I think that I'm going to give Mike McCarthy a little bit of a leash here and not say he should be fired or anything like that at this point. But if they don't turn this around and the entire locker room hates him, and this is just not the hire that we thought it was, I think there has to be big changes in Dallas. I think that I think the one thing now, at least everyone's going to appreciate Dak Prescott, and at least they're going to know he's worth the money because they're going to see what this team is like with Andy Dalton or whoever they try to make a trade for or whatever it is. I mean, this is an awful football team. And Dak Prescott was the only thing holding it together. So if I'm a Dallas fan, I'm appreciating Dak even more now and not appreciating Mike McCarthy.
You are one of the best NFL writers out there, but you are also a proud Orlando Magic fan.
Yes.
So let's pivot to the NBA. You obviously have history with Stan Van Gundy is now the head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans. Is that a good hire? That's a good fit for Zion and Brandon Ingram? What do you think?
It's an incredible fit because I think that almost like a football coach, Michael, the biggest thing with an NBA coach is the ability to adapt. And I think that when I look at Stan Van Gundy's history, whether that's in Miami, whether that's in Orlando, I mean, Detroit, he got too much power, happens sometimes. And he didn't make the right roster moves. But I think that they're going to be able to play the way Zion needs to play, build a strong defensive team, take enough threes. I mean, I think that Stan Van Gundy, he basically reinvented space and pace in 2009 and was able to, have Hedo Turkoglu and Rashard Lewis and all of these little inefficiencies we talk about so much now. He was doing that 11 years ago. And so I think it's an amazing hire. JJ Redick just adores playing for him. Basically says that he was the guy that got JJ onto analytics in the first place. So everything the modern game was headed towards, he was there already. And so who better for the modern game than Stan Van Gundy? I'm going to miss him on television. I could have used a couple more years of Stan Van on television, but I think this is a good fit in New Orleans.
Hey, man.
I think it's a really good hire, too. No, I was going to say, Mike,
go ahead, Mike.
I think it's a really good hire in your hometown, Mike, in New Orleans. Great piece on Stan Van Gundy, too. Just want to point out, Kevin, that Kevin Garnett did not play in that 2009 series. That's why they were able to vanquish the Celtics. I just want to point that out.
Michael, let me tell you something.
That's all.
Let me tell you something. I work for a guy named Bill Simmons who points that out all the time. Okay, I've heard that enough. I've dismissed it. I don't care. We beat LeBron. We beat the Boston Celtics in that East playoffs. I'm completely content with the 2009 run.
Do you think it's a coincidence? Hey, it ain't no coincidence I'm wearing a green jacket today. So, I mean, I don't know.
I'm wearing a blue polo, and that's not a coincidence either.
That's right.
Y'all going to have to settle
Kevin,
somewhere.
Awesome. Awesome
you,
job.
brother,
I hope we both hope that you're able to come back and join us again. We really appreciate
that's
hanging
what
out
I'm
with
saying.
you today.
Come on back, brother.
Thanks for having me, guys. Huge fans.
Keep up the great work.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.